Hey,
G-Bird, G-Bird, G-Bird.
Herbert,
Yeah.
Herbert, Herbert. All right.
You need to
There you go.
stop. Otherwise, I can't start.
You can't start.
I can't start with you making that noise, that's for sure. Oh, dear. Right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Taylor, and you're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, your weekly digest of hobby goodness. Happy New Year,
Hobby
everybody.
goodness.
With me, with me as all thing, with, oh, flipping heck. With me as always is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot? It's Norrin Rad. Didn't have that prepared properly. Happy New Year, my friend.
It worked out. Happy New Year, buddy. What's cracking
Oh,
lacking?
I've gone red. I've gone slightly red. I've gone slightly pink, as
Changing
those
color
with
a little bit. Yeah.
changing color a little bit. Yes. Welcome, everybody, and indeed you, even though we're
hmm
recording this in 2022. Welcome to the first episode of 2023. What are you drinking there, by the way?
Water.
Water. Oh, there's me, there's me thinking it was like daddy's medicine. Like,
No, no, it's in my wife's coffee mug.
it's the only way I can get through the episodes these days is with a bit of sauce in my hand.
It's just yeah,
Mm.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, well, whatever gets you through the day. So, hurrah,
No
hurrah,
judgments.
hurrah. Um, First of all, I want to, as is customary now, because it turns out that our first episode 2 years ago was Bill Sienkiewicz. And he did us a wonderful
Ah,
intro that we can only use once a year because it says Happy New Year on it. So,
yeah,
this episode, you will have heard the dulcet tones of our good friend and talent supremo, Bill Sienkiewicz, which will be as much of a surprise to Bill as it was to anyone else who's never heard his intro before. Least of which the podcast audience who watch us on YouTube don't tend to get those audio intros. Although I might see if I can work them into the YouTube somehow. Got to think about how to do that because some of them are nice and short, but some of them are like 20, 30, 40
we should
seconds
do a
long.
top 10 opening episode and talk
That's
about
not a
the
bad
artist a
idea.
little bit, like a little
That's not a bad
reminiscing.
idea. Well, we should go back, which actually I'm going to come on to that later in the show. But one thing that occurred to me was that we have an awful lot of artist intros in the bag. I don't tend to ask folk for them these days because there's not been as many sets out, and also I've just been too busy with other stuff. And we've actually got quite a good bank of them that we can use. But a lot of those artists have actually moved on from Marvel cards, or
Oh,
might have
that's
just only done
interesting.
a few sets, which I thought was interesting given what we're going to be talking about on this episode. So that's a
That's right.
good point to bring that up. Um, but this being the first episode of 2023, we talked a lot last time in our end of year review about what we're kind of hoping and thinking that we'll get up to in 2023 and what we're hopeful for. Um,
Yep.
as always, when you have a bit of a downtime over Christmas, New Year, you start thinking about stuff. Or you just start burning cards to keep warm, as I'm sure many of you folks in the US have been doing.
That happens.
Anyone live in Buffalo, New York? Apparently that was pretty ghastly in terms of
Awful.
the weather. People will be listening
Awful.
back to this years from now and be like, "What are they talking about?"
They have no
But
idea.
people will forget.
Well, it will
People will
all be
forget.
in
Yeah.
chaos.
It'll all be in
So,
chaos. Well, years to come. Anyway,
years to
who
come.
knows?
We got
Who
time.
knows? Who knows? Throughout this episode, by the way, I will drop in random showings of really cool cards because I had my Comsi delivery. You know, this Comsi delivery that was like four
Ooh.
years in the making.
Yeah, like the
So it's
ComC
all my
delivery.
yeah, so it's all my EPAC stuff. You know, my EPAC collection has waxed and waned furiously,
Oof.
but throughout all of it all, I was actually going through a cyclical process that I didn't realize at the time when I was going through each of the sets, but of deciding to move on from certain things and only keep certain aspects of it and,
Smart.
finesse and evolve my collection. Again, this is all very prescient for what we're going to be talking about. So the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that came home was all kill and no filler. It was all
I'll
PC
kill it,
stuff.
no filler, baby.
Yeah. One approximately, I say approximately because I've been touting this number, but I'm still going through them all. 1,348 cards, which cost me
Ooh.
the best part of I'm going to say at least $500 to get to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they arrived last week, and you'll appreciate this. So last week, just before Christmas, on the 23rd, 24th, something like that, we were in London. My wife and daughter. We went down to London for the day to see Disney on Ice at the O2 Arena. So we got a really early train. We had this booked months ago.
Right.
And then I get the notification from UPS, who are delivering this package. Oh, your package is going to be delivered on Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. or whatever like this. And
Oh
I'm like,
no.
okay, great. So what I do is I unlock our garden shed and I leave a sign on the door saying, "Dear UPS or FedEx, whoever happens to be rocking up, the shed's unlocked. Just waggle the lock, put it in there," because I knew it was due to be raining on Friday. So I'm gonna keep checking my phone throughout the day, and we get, the time it's supposed to be delivered comes and goes, and then the tracking says we've updated it. It's no longer going to be between those times. It's going to be by end of day. So clearly they're running behind. Okay, fine. Um, I'm sat there 20 minutes before the start of Disney on Ice, and I get a delivery notification on my phone.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, with a photo. So I think, oh, okay, I'll check the photo. And there's a photo of the box. There's two boxes. There's one massive box, and there's one really thin, slim one, which is the lithograph from Unbound. Okay,
Oh yeah,
Freddie
that's
in one.
right.
Because
Yes.
that has to be packaged separately because of the size and shape of it.
Right, right, right.
And they're sat there in this photo, looking great, looking perfect and safe, outside a front door I've never seen before.
Oh no.
They're outside someone else's property. And we're like, we can't see a number on this door from because he's not taking a photo of the full door. We
Oh
we
my
don't
God,
recognize
bro.
it. So I'm like straight away, and I'm like, okay, it's 18 minutes now before the start of Disney on Ice. Okay. So I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? So I go and manage to get a number for UPS in the UK because they're an American company, but they do have a UK hub. Managed to find the number, ring up, speak to this bloke. I have to go out of the arena area into just a bit just next to the ice on the way to the toilets. So I'm
I would have
there,
been
and I'm
freaking
like,
out. Oh my
I'm saying to the
God.
guy, I'm at Disney on Ice. It's about to start, because he's had me on hold for a bit. I've got 3 minutes for it's due to start. So if you hear loads of crazy stuff in the background, that's why. But I'm also missing the show. My 7-year-old's waiting for me to go back. So
Holy crap.
can you find out? So puts me on hold. Puts me on hold. He comes back to me 5 minutes after the curtain's gone up. So the show's started.
Oh
I can hear
jeez.
Mickey skating around. I can hear loads of saccharine, nauseating Disney music. It's great.
Ah!
I couldn't see it, but I'm like, okay, I'm in the arena. There's a live show going on. He's put me on hold, but it's a hold that doesn't have any hold music,
That's the
and
worst.
he can't hear
Sounds like
me.
you're going
So he's
crazy.
actually put me on hold. He's not just muted his mic. He's put me on hold.
Right.
There's no hold music. So I'm like, hello, hello, can you hear me? Is it one of those types of hold? No, no. Anyway, comes back,
Oh,
show started. He's like, "Go on, we'll get the local. I'll pass the message on to the local thing, see if we can get the driver to turn around." Go into the show. Get to the interval. I've got a missed call from a number local to where I live, and so
oh,
I ring it back. It's the local UPS delivery hub in Norwich, near where I live. The number of which isn't available publicly online because they don't make it available. So I've
of
I've
course
saved
not.
that
Yeah,
number for
because
future
it's
reference. So I've got it. And they're like, "Oh yeah, our driver's going back. You misread it. You live at number 41. We've delivered it to number 47." And then half an hour
why
later,
is
I
that
get another.
okay?
Yeah, but half an hour later, I get another photo through. And it's inside my shed. I'm like, oh my goodness me. That's like, it was the most nerve-wracking first half of Disney on Ice you
I
could
would have
possibly
lost my
imagine.
mind.
Yeah, I was sitting there losing my mind, but grinning, dancing away, going, yeah, yeah, it's you got a friend in me. Dee-dee-dee,
Oh
dee-dee.
God,
Where
dude, that's
is
a
my package
nightmare.
from? Come see. But it turned up. It turned up in the end. So I'm going to randomly say something before we get onto the topic of this episode.
Please.
I'm absolutely bowled over. Absolutely. This is one of those things. We always talk about this. The EPAC
Yes.
scans need to be better.
100%.
The precious metal
Oh wow,
gems
they do look nice.
from the MCU movies, and they've
Wow.
clearly changed them. I mean, this is one from Ragnarok, and it's okay, but some of the others are absolutely stunning. They're not quite the same finish from all of them.
I think
That's
that one looks
top of
pretty
my
good
game.
though.
No, that's pretty good. But you wait and see. The one I'm about to show you will knock your socks off, my friend.
I better hold on tight then.
You better hold on to those socks because the background they obviously let me get them out. Hang on a sec. Where is it? The backgrounds on them clearly get a bit of a tickle depending on which set you go for. Where is it? Where is it? I think the Spider-Man one's good, but the one I'm looking for is yes. Hello, it's the Iron Man one from Infinity War, I believe this is. Look at that background.
Wow.
Isn't that phenomenal?
That looks great,
That's
man.
just the quality of them. I mean, they're
The
thin,
silver looks very
but they
nice.
are so nice.
Wow. Very cool.
They are so nice. And, but people have, there was a bit in the pump of last year, there was a bit of an attempt to get these up a bit. And the Spider Man one, especially from Homecoming, and the one with
Yeah.
Zendaya on from Homecoming, they went up in
Mm-hmm.
price massively. But they're not numbered. They're
No,
not
they're
numbered
not.
at all.
They were made. A
So,
lot of them are made.
so because of that, it's kind of escaped a little bit of that, that
Very
hype.
luckily. Yeah, very
But
luckily has escaped.
but for my money, even if you get a lower MCU character on them, they're absolutely worth having. They really are. They're just
I think they're
beautiful.
really nice.
I mean, look at the Groot. I mean, I've got this one in the top loader, but the Groot one's lovely. It's really sweet. Um,
I
they're
mean,
really
that looks
nice.
good to
They're
me.
nice cards, and I haven't got a full run of them, obviously, but I've got all the. I think I've got all the Guardians ones, Guardians Volume 2. I've got all the Ragnarok ones. I think I'm missing one Doctor Strange. I think I'm missing actually one of the ones that is actually genuinely quite rare is Black Panther. The T'Challa one was an
Why is
achievement.
that one rare? Is
It's an
that? Oh,
it
it's an
was an
achievement.
achievement. You
That's
had to do
right.
quite a bit to get it as well. So they're quite tough to get now.
Hmm.
But yeah, they're just lovely. They're just lovely.
That's
And
awesome.
also, just a little shout out for the auto design. I've just noticed this one's damaged. Oh, it's annoying. This one's damaged. Um, for the auto design on Infinity War. I just love that design. I mean, it's a sticker
That's
auto.
really
You
nice.
see that damage at the top there?
Oh man, that looks rough.
Yeah. I mean, it was
That's
it
okay. I
was
mean, it
it's
says
penny
Wong on
sleeved.
there. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
it's penny sleeved, but yeah, it's just annoying. I mean, I'm still sorting through them. There we go. Yeah, it's just the black. And it's just I've caught it with my nail and folded it back over.
Hmm.
But yeah, listen, I mean, these are fairly affordable, the Wong ones, so I could swap it out for another one if I was so bothered. But I'm not. You know,
But I'm not.
bit of
I love that.
Ebony Moore
But I'm
action.
not.
It's fine.
Oh, that's nice
So I'm
too.
happy with that. So yeah. Anyway, so what I thought would be good to talk about was, as I mentioned, between Christmas and New Year, you get a bit thoughtful. You start thinking about things,
Yes.
and so I started thinking about. Well, I started thinking about something I'll come on to in a minute, but I put a question onto the MCCW group, and the response I got was so overwhelming. I thought it was actually quite good. We're going to do a little run of episodes this month,
Yeah.
loosely themed on state of the hobby, because I thought
State
let's have a
of the
little bit of
hobby.
a general, just to everyone really. You're okay, hun. Let's just check in with ourselves and see
Yeah.
what's going on.
Let's
Um,
see what's happening.
because it occurred to me, I was thinking about what I was thinking about that started this off was the phases that a collector goes through. Okay, now I've not sent
Yeah.
you these, but I told you that we were going from.
Yes.
But it's not just phases of a collector; it's by virtue of that, it's also the phases of a collection because it's directly related.
Yes.
I'm talking from my own experience. The conversation we just had about me
Uh-huh.
trimming down all that stuff on EPAC over the years, so that I just got I refined things as I was going through that process.
Yeah, I
You
remember.
know, and things do ebb and flow. So I jotted down some phases here, and these might not be completely true and accurate, but I jotted down 5 phases here. And I
Hmm.
think I know where you and me would be mapped on this. And I don't know if these are necessarily true for everyone because not everyone goes through this cycle. Um,
Right.
but I've seen it happening with quite a few collectors recently. And certainly the question I posted on group, which I'll come to in a moment. So, phase one, discovery. But then I've added in brackets and overreaching.
Oh shoot, that's a good one.
Because quite a lot of the time, and I've seen this happen, I've been guilty of this, is you're like a kid in a candy store and you go
Yep,
nuts and you try and get everything. You try and get, oh yeah,
everything.
I want these sets, I want this set, I want this set. You either try and collect so much it comes back to bite you on the bum a little way down the road, or you
Yep,
overspend. Yeah.
yep,
So, but it doesn't happen for everyone, which is why I put it in parentheses.
yeah.
Phase two, more discovery and realignment.
Mm,
Because then you start to think, okay, maybe I need to focus a little bit here. You might have learned some
yeah,
lessons, or you might have just found something that you like. You might have just found your niche. Um, and throughout phase one and two, you might not have actually acquired any cards yet. If
so
you're
maybe
doing
still
a
in
good,
the
you might still be just figuring out what you like and, lurking and doing stuff. Depends. Different people are in different lanes throughout this journey.
right.
Phase three, reduction and finessing.
Hmm. I like that.
I think we've seen a lot. Phase four, contented curation.
Contented curation.
Yeah. Now, it's not intended to be a player word. That part of the word contented is content.
Right.
But
That's what I was like, all right, here we
no,
go.
which is why I was very clear on my pronunciation there. Because as I read it back, because I wrote this two days ago, well, half drunk. And then phase five, and the reason I did put in this phase five is because I was thinking of it that it could be a cyclical thing, rediscovery,
Hmm. Yeah,
possibly.
I
Now,
can see that.
this is
I think
just
we need a
me off the
chart.
top of my head, but we do
I
need a
like it.
visual. We do need a
We
visual.
need a visual.
Can
We
you get
need
the
a visual.
whiteboard? You wheel it in. we, we should do a PowerPoint. Seriously. Actually,
That'd have been
can we
perfect.
do a PowerPoint episode?
We could do a
Let's do a
PowerPoint episode.
PowerPoint
You
episode.
could share your screen
Let's
and we
do.
could do a PowerPoint
Well,
episode.
I'm not going to make a PowerPoint right now, no, because I have to
That's
drive and then
upsetting.
I have to drive and then talk
I'm
at the same time.
disappointed by the
But
by the lack of
there will
preparedness.
be a PowerPoint episode coming, which will be a YouTube exclusive, I think, because we couldn't release an
YouTube
audio version
exclusive
of that.
PowerPoint.
We
I've never
have to.
heard two words that are so different.
Why not?
PowerPoint's
I
so
do PowerPoints for
unexciting.
work.
YouTube,
You've
that's pretty
never
funny.
seen one of my PowerPoints. I give good
I
PowerPoint. I'll have you
I'm
know.
sure you give great PowerPoint, but I will say PowerPoints are usually not very exciting. But I'm willing to be proven wrong. Like I'm willing to be entertained by a good PowerPoint.
The MCCP, I always like to caveat with this, as the Soviets call it, because it makes me laugh, even though it makes no one else laugh anymore. The MCCP, Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, is actually the Marvel Card Collectors PowerPoint. That's what's coming up. That's what it's going to stand for from now on.
Yeah.
So the MCC POW at the MCC POW. I like that. We're going to use that
Of
anyway.
course you do.
So what I went to was, it occurs to me, and this is touching on that thing that I mentioned about the artists just at the top of the show, is there are a fair number of collectors who used to be really ubiquitous, and they were they were known and they were there, and for various reasons, it's not that they've left the group on Facebook, they just barely post anymore, if at all. And I've seen some of them selling off. So it suddenly occurred to me, my post on Facebook was literally this question. Let me actually read it, and then people will know what I'm talking about. Because if you're not in the group, and some people aren't in the group by choice or because for whatever reasons,
for reasons.
Which reminds me, I need to mention something later on about that. So my question was, curious to know, have you decided to quit the hobby? Have you gotten to a point where you're unsure if you'll stick in the game? I realise that folks who've bailed may not be in the group anymore, but wanted to float the balloon, as there may well be members who are dormant and used to be much more active. Life may have moved you on? Question mark. So, and I tagged a few folks. I said, I'm going to tag a few folks I'm personally aware used to be a lot more active, as I'm keen to hear your thoughts and story. DM me if you want to. I think only one person actually DM'd me. Everyone else was very much open. And boy, can open, worms everywhere. It turned
Mhm.
out to be a bit of a therapy session for people.
I think a lot of people, I mean, it was the conversation to be having for a lot of people. And
Mm,
I think it just kind of,
it was well timed. It was well
it was
timed.
well timed. Like
Mm,
everyone was just waiting for that kind of moment
mm.
because it's been a rough year. I was just watching, what was it? Neo Cards and Comics, our buddy Neo,
Oh yeah,
Rob, and he was doing a year in review, and it was insane to think of how many things have actually been happening in the hobby for just 2022.
yeah. But
It's
how
been
few
like
sets came out as well.
it's been a major
It's like
dramatic year. Yeah. Yeah,
loads of
it's been a
noise,
major
barely
dramatic
any
year.
drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make
100%.
sense because there were plenty of drum beaters.
Yes,
But we'll come on to that in a moment.
plenty.
Now I am gonna read a few things out from that post. I pretty much one person messaged me and said, oh, "I don't want you to kind of read out my shit, but you can use it anonymously." I was like, "Fair enough." Um, but most other people, there was quite a big theme going on, um, which is summed up quite nicely by Jim Rails, who very succinctly posted, "Not quitting, but definitely scaled back."
Yeah.
And a lot of people said very
Yeah.
similar things and went into reasons about it. Um, I thought it was very interesting. I'm going to read another one, which was pretty good. It's from Kevin Moses, Carnage Collector. Kevin, he's
Hmm.
Canadian, I think. Um, I've
Oh,
gotten to a point now where I feel like collecting as a whole is now a rich man's game, and it's slowly not being fun. Everything is being priced out of the wazoo. It's lovely to see the
the
word wazoo
wazoo.
typed.
I love
So
that
thank
one.
you for that alone, Kevin. I don't have deep pockets at all. I'm lucky if I find some sealed product out there that is decently priced. But if the market continues the way it's going, I'll pretty much stop almost entirely. Um, so I thought there's a few things there. A lot of people said that it doesn't feel as fun anymore, which I thought was telling.
Competition is like that, man.
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? It's
Mm,
competition is like that.
yeah.
Like I think it's funny too, just to like, just to kind of put it in perspective. I feel like this is a conversation that's happened at various points throughout the releases of Marvel cards. Does that make sense? Like
Of
I
course.
think
Yeah.
like at one point it was even cheaper than any of us would ever even think was possible.
Mm,
Um and other people were kind of out at that point too.
yes.
You know what I mean? So I do think that there's a little bit to be said about what it means to like, have like some perspective on this and to understand that this is not like a new conversation to be having, especially for people who've been in the game for a little bit longer or,
Hmm.
entered at different price points. Like I think about like sketch cards or I think
Yeah.
about um anything else that pretty much doesn't exist to anybody else other than people who've been here longer than you and I or had age or money longer than you and I. We still don't have money, but you know what I mean? Like longer than you and I have had. Um, so it is an interesting conversation that's coming up again. But I think the reason it's so massive of a conversation now is because it's a very it's gone from like if the audience is 10 people for Marvel cards, which it's not, it's much bigger, but I'm just
Of
using the
course.
numbers, right? When you moved out of, let's say, you can go really far back, 1966 to 1990. You know what I mean? 1966 to 1990 are a very different way of collecting, and then 1990 has all these inserts. right? And the prices increase from like 25 cents, 50 cents, a dollar to like $10 an insert type of thing. People left, right?
Mm,
And then 90s goes all the way to 2000s. And we'll skip a few because I don't want to go all the way down. But you get to 2012 or 2011 with beginnings or premiere and you get hard numbered cards.
hmm.
The audience that was 10 lowered down to maybe 8, and now it's lowered down to 6, and now we're at a stage now where it's like it's lowering even further to like
Mm,
3 people who can play these games where you're buying $1,000 card or an $800 card to get something that you like or you think is valuable.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's pretty absurd
yeah.
to think about it in those terms, but I think it's gotten so extreme now that the post was just a timely post because everyone's looking at the year, especially with the
Mm,
economy, and they're thinking, if I want to stay in this game, am I going to have to pay $800 or
yeah,
$500 for a card I really want, which is
yeah.
just an absurd thought. For a lot of people,
It's crazy.
it's an
It's
absurd
crazy. Well, one collector actually did touch on that. Forgive me, I should have bookmarked these a little bit better. But there was one comment here that actually completely summed that up. I just need to find it.
There were so many,
Um,
by the way, for listeners to know and whoever's not in the group. I mean, this thing was jam packed. This was
my
not
phone
like
was pinging
a couple of
off the
posts.
wahoozy. Yeah,
No, it was nuts.
it's over
You could
60
tell that
comments,
people were, yeah, people
different people
really,
as well.
really wanted to talk about this,
Um,
which was great. It's wonderful.
so it is absolutely brilliant. Where is it? Where is it? PJ um, commented, I'm having the toughest time wrapping my brain around the fact that a hobby or industry or world in which I love and used as an escape has become another job. Gone are the days of mindlessly collecting and trading. Now it's become soiled with ROI, people screaming supply and demand or economics 101 or whatever else is the hot catchphrase. When the hobby turned into people's 401k or retirement hopes and dreams, that's when it kind of lost its luster. Um, so that's an interesting one for me because people collect for different reasons, and there's nothing wrong with someone who chooses to collect because they want to like use it as an investment, all that sort of stuff. I think my perspective on it is that there needs to be a bit of a balance. And all of a sudden, the hobby's been flooded with all those people who see it as a gold rush opportunity, partly driven by the fact there are people who don't give a flying monkeys about the long term longevity and you know
At all.
of the hobby. What was the quote that you put on the post? Do you mind me reading
Oh,
it out?
yeah, yeah.
Do you
No,
mind
no,
me
no.
reading that
Please. That's a
out?
good. Yeah. So
Um,
what I was gonna say before I read the quote,
hmm,
because yeah, I was surprised that I remembered that quote so well. Because I don't know what got me in the mood, but like you made that post and like everyone else, I too was just like, I don't know, this jolt of like I gotta say something now.
hmm,
Which is, happens from time to time. But in terms of return of investment and all that kind of stuff, I think it's interesting because I think in Marvel cards there really wasn't a culture of sharing or, to be honest, boasting what you made off of card or sale. And that language was so embedded in the sports card world of what was happening before
hmm,
that when those collectors and we started being affected by that culture and that kind of idea, it kind of infiltrated ours. And it's not that people weren't making money off of selling cards. Like there were tons of people doing that stuff, but it wasn't the norm and it wasn't the point of the hobby for a lot of people who decide to buy cards. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
even when like before all this, I mean, we've talked about this because we've been doing this podcast forever and we've known each other for a long time. But like, geez, man, like I honestly was not thinking like I really just did Surfer because I was like, this will be fun because I've collected Surfer my whole life. And I was
yeah,
like, this will be awesome to like do this more seriously because I had cards of Surfer, but I hadn't thought about like getting numbered cards. You know what I mean?
hmm,
And
hmm,
anytime, like you were mentioning earlier with the discovery and that cycle, there is a moment where you have to assess and be like, do I really want my collection to be filled with rare numbered parallel cards? You know what I mean? And that's really the decision. Like you can't you can't you can't be and this is maybe a terrible analogy, so you tell me if it's complete horseshit, but like you can't, you know, not be an athlete and then go into an arena and play professional game. You know what I mean? Like you can't train yourself to be, you can't be one way and then train yourself to be another without feeling disappointment. Like you can't do that fast. You know what I mean? So like
Hmm.
if you're a person, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the rarest cards possible. And you've never ever tried to do that before in a collectible market, you're gonna strain something, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna do things that you don't have money for. Like and I saw a lot of
And people who've
people,
paid good money for the games are going to throw rocks at you, or eggs,
yeah,
or empty beer bottles.
because they understand the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's very different to play on those different levels. Um, and I think that was a major learning curve for people too, like you were mentioning. And I
Mm.
think a lot of that assessment that we see in those comments are just people being like, I think people are naturally going to fit into their groups instead of listening to influencers or listening to someone out of context or, you know, thinking getting the best rarity wise and, you know, more sought after card
Mm.
makes you a collector of a thing. I think that's a big thing people forget. Like just
Yeah.
because you have this big shiny card doesn't make you a collector of this hobby. That just means, hey, you're a guy or a woman or someone who owns this card. That's it. That's where it draws the line. It doesn't mean
Mm.
you haven't gained anything by just obtaining something.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, I know that was a little
No, no,
tangent, but
no,
sorry, brother.
absolutely, absolutely fine. No, to be honest with you, that really helps me out because there's so much good stuff in this post. We
It's
won't
so
get to
much
them
good
all,
stuff.
but so your comment, your
Yeah.
quote was, and this was quoted to you by someone
Yeah,
else
this was told,
who you've
this was
labeled.
someone who told me this
Yeah,
on
you've
the
labeled
phone.
them market manipulator. So the
Yeah,
quote is, "No one cares or should care about the hobbyist. We, as in the market manipulator, want to obtain everything of value and then sell to the big fish." So
yep.
that when I refer to people who come into the hobby parasitically, make moves because they've got big dollar, buy stuff up, raise the prices, and then dump it and then move on to something else without any concern or appreciation for the longevity of that hobby. That for me is the equivalent to ticket touts in the music industry, which I used to be
I
very
remember you
closely
telling me
connected to,
that. Yeah, yeah.
because all it does is takes out from
Yep.
the industry and from the community. It doesn't put back in. Um,
Yep.
and I have very little time for that. I also have very little time for content that supports that narrative. Now, I've been quite on the fence about this, and maybe not saying what I kind of feel about it. But 2023, I'm going to be a lot more frank about things. I actively choose to avoid and have some disdain for the hashtag Marvel Cards Baby. Now, this isn't an attack at anyone in particular who happened to use it, but for me, that hashtag sums up the period where those people were operating within the hobby. Now, some of them have stepped out of the hobby now and have moved on to other things. Some of them are still quietly going in the background and maybe have rebranded and shed their skin a little bit and are still there doing things. But I love the fact that the idea behind its use from many quarters was one that was excitement and promoting the scene and all that sort of stuff. But it was equally used by people who were putting out content who were working alongside the market manipulator that may or may not have said that quote, and people who were had other interests
And I
other
think
hobby.
the interesting thing too about that quote, and what I will say, and I know how you feel about that hashtag quite a bit, and I'm more of a, like, I seem very extroverted, but I'm actually a lot quieter. And I can talk, but I'm much quieter as a person in terms of my head and stuff. I don't
I am.
it goes back
I'm
to
a Brit.
like
I'm quite reserved
I'm quite
generally.
reserved.
Well,
I
I often
yeah
got back. I try to be
yeah.
restrained and
I have
maintain
that kind of Miami
swagger.
excitement
Yeah.
to my
Right.
to
Okay.
what I say, and I can get a little too much. But like I think for me, so much of that hashtag and so much of those, it's funny to see people have good intentions, and it's funny to see people have different perspectives on things that I have different perspectives on.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And to say that anyone, and I said it in the rest of that comment too, right? I said
Yes.
that thing
Sorry.
about
There is
no, no, no,
context
no,
there.
you're
Yeah.
good, you're good. Yeah, I said that thing about most collectors, yada yada yada, or what was it again? I forgot what I said in that little
You
section
said
there.
so. Let's give this because I think
Yeah, sorry,
this
because
ties in
there's
quite
more.
nicely with what you're trying to
There's a
say.
lot of stuff I want to
So,
talk about with
so
that.
this was told to me by someone who is only interested in controlling the market and nothing else. Most collectors can be bought. Many collectors are friends with arseholes in the group because they have cars they eventually hope to get, and all collectors will sell for the highest possible price. The hobby is not about what we do with cards, but how we treat each other.
That's I put that there because I wanted to show
Yes.
that here's the thing. It's not important to me, and I understand why you brought up the hashtag, and this is not a reference to that. I try not to point fingers, even at the people I really dislike,
Yeah,
because I go out of my way not to do it. Because the truth is, appearance and intention are two very separate things.
of course.
And I try to be careful with that, even though there are plenty of things that you and I talk about off air that just drive me crazy, more than you at times. And I you know what I mean? Like I get just as upset, if not
I
more.
just simmer under the
And
surface. Yeah.
you're just like, and I'm just like, what the? But I think, and I put that there because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't protecting anybody and I wasn't outing anybody,
Mm,
because I don't want to be the person that says, "Hey, these people are good, these people are bad." You know what I mean?
no,
Because
no.
I don't want to do that, because truthfully, it gets tricky when something costs money or something is out of 5 or 10. It becomes a competition. It becomes important to people because truthfully, I saw a lot of people that went on YouTube to talk about Marvel cards, and you can see them. And I'm not going to say who these people were, but you can see how sad they were in their daily jobs, and how unfulfilled they were, and how, quite frankly, lonely they are.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like I can see it. I can see their
mm,
desperation for wanting to make content and stuff like that. And it makes me sad. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but any influencer across any YouTube media feels that way. You know what I mean? You can, like, no one goes ahead and does all this stuff. Like you and I even started this thing because we just wanted to talk about cards and hang out.
mm.
You know what I mean? It wasn't fame. I mean, we have no sponsorship. We don't make any money off of this. The only nice thing that came out of this is the community and getting to have some access to Upper Deck, which is quite rare to do.
Mm.
Um, but you know, I think a lot of people went into this for many reasons, and some of those reasons happen to bring in a lot of hope and a lot of circumventing their desperation to make something new for themselves and to make a name for themselves. And I
Yeah,
think that was important to a lot of people, and
yeah,
it brought good and really bad things out of the
mm,
community
mm,
and themselves.
yeah,
And that's how I see all of this.
yeah.
I don't feel bad personally for anybody who, and this is going to be hard, this is going to sound harsh, but like, I don't feel bad for anybody who didn't do their research. You know what I mean? And was sheep. Like, I'm sorry, but I really just don't feel bad for people who were just
Bandwagon.
mindless drones following people. You
Mm,
got what you got. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like, that's it. Like, in all seriousness, I don't feel bad for people who don't take a step back and have any kind of critical
mm,
sense or critical
mm.
reflection. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I personally tried never to like mislead anybody. Obviously, we go out of our way to explain that don't buy product, wait for it to come on ComC, or look for the best price, or look through the community to find someone
Mm,
to trade with.
mm.
Avoid spending money if you can. That's
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
been our mantra. And we don't quote prices on what things sell for, and we don't reference money we've spent on stuff unless it's
To
just
be
to
fair,
like,
I kind of do, but anyway.
I mean,
but
we try
but
not to make
usually
it
because I record a conversation I'm having with you, and I just want to
right.
say,
That's
oh, I got
different.
this, and it was a really good price.
But
I
it's
expect
not
this.
like this is up, this is down,
No.
this is good
Oh no, no,
price,
no.
this is not.
We don't do market
No,
price
no,
stuff,
no.
and we never have.
No, it's
Really,
not of an
I mean,
interest.
we talk about the general trends, and there is content out there that does that. And I think I just want to, just in case anyone's sitting there simmering and thinking, Ian's just pissed all over my chips, and he's,
No, no,
yeah,
no, no.
I'm not. That hashtag is genuinely used with enthusiasm and love from a lot of quarters.
100%. A lot of people, yeah.
What I'm saying is, I personally, I can't get on board with it, and it's just not my taste for starters. That was where I started it, and then suddenly it was everywhere, and people were using it everywhere. And for me, it became associated with the stuff that was going on with market manipulation,
Mhm.
with content with a capital CON, of which, and people listening will know
That was good.
what I'm referring to when I'm talking about that. But some people really like it because it's something that is, and I get this because social media and that, it's a good hashtag, it's a good awareness thing, and it's a good, it's a
It's what they came
positive
in
thing.
with
Yeah,
too.
it's absolutely
Yeah.
positive and it's absolutely fine. I'm not trying to piss on anyone's chips with it. I'm just saying that for the longest time I've said nothing about that hashtag, and I never use it, and I never have
Yeah.
used it, um, because I personally, it's my personal taste, I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
turns me
No,
off
it's
as
not your
much as it
thing.
turns a lot of people on. That's absolutely cool in the gang if you want to go with it, and your kind of, your excitement and your positivity and your content is based around that. You go for it. You absolutely go for it. However, if you're doing it with a market manipulator or two in your back pocket, driving what you're saying and driving the tone of your content, then I close the door at that point, because that's where it crosses the line. Now,
That's where
the
it gets
interesting thing,
really, 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 really,
yeah,
really poor taste
the
is when
interesting
that
thing
becomes, yeah.
about the market manipulators is that's exactly what they're doing. The emphasis is on the latter, because they're not, very rarely are they publicly visible. You can't go to many of
No, they
their
pretend.
Instagram
They
feeds
pretend.
or
They
their
pay.
YouTube feeds.
Yeah, they pay an MTV Lala whatever person to go on camera and lose their minds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've never heard
Um
of that person before, by the
yeah,
way.
no one has. No one has. Like,
And
what would that
and
person do with
and
Marvel cards?
given how
It
quickly
was
she saw what it was, and anyway, I don't tend to get
whatever.
involved in that kind of content. I don't have time in my
Barf.
life to watch it, and it just doesn't appeal to me. But um, there are people who are, in my view, very shady in the hobby, who other people have outed in their content and pointed out their
Mm,
kind of form, who do have a public face and a public persona. And there are people who I have absolute disdain for, and I'm not going to diss them openly on here, but if you DM me privately, I'll quite happily tell you who it is. That's not what I'm here to do. What I'm wanting to do is have a conversation about why people have been a little bit quitting, a little
I
bit stepping
mean,
back from the hobby, and
be
that's one of
honest.
the reasons. That's one of the big things in 2022
That's the
that put
reason.
people
It's
off.
not one of the big
Mm.
reasons. It's one of the second closest reason is quality control. But that was pandemic all around. I mean, I
Well,
think that will
that's
change.
coming. That's coming.
Yeah,
No,
that's
no,
coming.
it's not just quality control. It's set construction, and
It's beyond set
that is a choice.
construction.
That is a choice
Image
on the set.
selection,
Mm-hmm.
it's ridiculously
Mm-hmm.
childish and like things need to change there. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
hopeful, but like if it
Yeah,
doesn't, there's no reason to buy new modern cards.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
just not. But like a
And I'm going to
hundred
find the
percent in
next
the sense
quote that
that
talks to that. Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, please. I'm just gonna say like if you want an example of what market manipulators have done to this hobby and whether it was good or bad, just read these comments. You'll see that most of it's bad. This
Mm,
whole strategy of getting rid of the hobbyists is just to limit the control of people who love the hobby to giving power back, not back, but giving power to people who have the money in their pockets to make people who love this hobby have to think twice about,
Mm,
man, I can pay off my home or I can do the thing I love. That's what that's doing. Like in all
mm,
seriousness, that's
mm,
that's what it is that people are being forced to reevaluate things. And
hmm.
sometimes it works for people. Like I remember helping people, a lot of people help sell their cards
Of
to
course.
these kind of market
And
movers
some
because
people rode that wave and improved the quality of their life and their
major
families'
lives,
lives
like
off
a
the
lot
back
of
of it.
things change people's lives.
Go
It's really
go for it
spectacular. But when it
if you're
comes
able
to the
to.
point where people are purposely being lied to, or people are being told, hey, that's not really that valuable,
Mm.
sell
Or
it to
putting out
me,
misinformation
that's
to
garbage. Because that's
yeah,
now all of a sudden you're playing the market against itself, the very market you built. You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's a really idiotic strategy, and
Mm,
B, it's a strategy that only forces people who, let's be honest, even understand Marvel cards. And I
mm,
hate to put it out there. I'm not trying to say there's better collectors than others, but dude, if you don't know basic history of Marvel cards and you're getting shit wrong in your videos, that is laughable. Like, if you don't have the research, then you don't know what
mm.
you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the problem is that all of a sudden, cards that are actually super special, and I'm going to say special, whatever, to Marvel cards, and then you
Yeah.
have shit that's out of 10 that people are like oohing and
Hmm.
eyeing over. All of a
Hmm.
sudden, the prices for this stupid thing is going up the moon because people are just
Yeah.
passing it around the
Yeah.
circle just for show to try to up its value, which is garbage. And then you have people on the other side who have the cards that are really beautiful and really special to the hobby. And luckily for those guys and women who have those cards, they get to enjoy them. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And then when they see them pop up on eBay every couple of years, they can buy one or have a friend who doesn't have one finally get one of those.
Yep.
That is actually really a great thing. But the problem is there's no knowledge. There's no actual understanding of what these cards are.
Of the
And I
problems.
and I yeah, and I wonder how that happened in other areas of collecting like Pokemon or Magic. Like I
Yeah.
wonder because we're so young, we've been around just as long, but we were like I say this stupid thing all the time, but we were definitely sectored off. We were definitely like outside the outskirts of the city. You know what I mean? So like how did people in Pokemon.
We're a commuter hub.
Yeah, right. It's kind of a weird thing because like I wonder what is our next kind of understanding of how it goes from, yeah, this is what everybody wanted, and then all of a sudden people in the hobby start saying, yeah, good, you guys had your fill. Hopefully you're tired and exhausted, go sleep it off. We're going to go ahead and show you what's up now. And then all of a sudden the real appreciation for the hobby, the real longevity of the hobby starts to kind of
Hmm.
become its own, how can I say, like sustains itself, right? Like the
Yeah.
hobbyist starts sustaining the hobby, not
Yes.
investors.
Yes, exactly. So, on the quality issue,
Yeah.
someone's commented, I personally stopped all EPAC purchases after the poor QC issues surrounding Spider-Man Metal Universe. I feel we all got burnt on that upper deck money grab. I'm still using ComC, but have been very selective on what I buy, which touches into another fella. I guess I have semi-quit, mostly due to the sets relying too much on parallels and recycling art. As a character collector, I don't want the same art of a character from different sets that want me to pay a premium price for low quality cards that have the exact same art as the set that was released before it. This combined with the odd nature of the market, one minute people will pay $500 for a card and next they won't even pay $100. So
Or
there's a lot in
cards
that.
that don't even feature the character, but say it's the character's name, like
Oh,
our
well,
poor
yes.
pan kit with Captain America.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
that is absurd. That is
Yes.
absurd to me that with all of the art that's available to UD, that there are literally cards out there of particular characters with the
Mhm.
same image. And when they say recycled art here, it's not the recycled art we're always hearing where it's like, oh, comic book art. Because I think everyone finally understands that some comic book art on cards for the first time is a killer cool idea because
Mm.
we've never had a representation of that artwork on a card. Here, they're referring to one card in a set that came out in 2013, having the same exact art to a card that came out in 2007, and then has the same card art that came out in 2019. Like, it's just a ridiculous thing to have
Mm.
that same character art for that character in 3 to 4 sets. And this is not one incident. This is like multiple incidents of
Mm-hmm.
this happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason UD or anybody who makes Marvel cards shouldn't have a library and tag those library of images to understand what pictures they're referencing, to make sure there's no double, and do
Yeah.
a true
And where it's
quality
been used.
control check.
Yeah. Yeah. My issue is the first appearance images that just get too overused now. For me, it's the Black Cat cover of Amazing Spider-Man 194. I mean, I've probably got maybe a dozen cards from the last 10 years that have that artwork in some form on it.
You know who's doing a really good job on showing that, and
James
in a cool
Edel.
way? James is
Mm,
the best.
James is
James
the best.
killed it finding those
Yeah.
original sources. He does such
Yeah.
a good job.
So for
But
those
in
who don't,
terms, yeah,
I was
James,
going to
let's
say,
talk
for
about
those who
James.
don't know, so what James has done, James is in the MCCW group, and you can see his posts in there. So I don't think he does it on Instagram. Um,
No,
he
does
um,
he?
he did
No.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't. I did ask him because someone saw someone doing something similar on Instagram for a brief period. That I don't think they're still doing it. And we thought, oh, James, it's you. And I messaged him and I said, is that you? And he goes, like, no, it's not me. But James is
That's right.
cool. James was on Marvel on the Brain on the round that I did. So Marvel on the Brain, for those who don't know, is coming back. Billy
That's right.
Vasozzi, sorry, Billy, if I've muffed up that name, aka Watch Me Open, who's been on this show a few times, did a guest show called Marvel on the Brain, and he did several rounds of it. And the one I was on with Tony Perner and James Edel. So James was on there. So if you want to go and see what it looks like and hear him talk, you can go and find those on Billy's YouTube. But Marvel on the Brain is coming back. Anyway, this is like a side quest within a side quest here. I love it. So James has for over a year now gone through, he's done it on several sets. He went through annual last year, annual this year, Spider-Man Metal Universe he's currently doing. And he does a post, usually once a day. He's doing it twice at the moment for Spider-Man Metal Universe, where he's doing the art that was used in the low series in the morning, and then the art that was used in the high series for that character in the evening. And he posts the source of where it was from in the original image, and adds a bit of commentary as to where it came from and what he thinks of the cropping and things like that. And some of it is eye-opening because
Very cool.
he's thrown up quite a few errors where it's like, actually, it's not that character at all. Or it's actually, it looks like Spider-Man, but it's actually Superior Spider-Man, or it's Ben Riley or something like that, or Venom. Like, this is the original Venom, but it's not
That's
actually
sad.
it's
Like,
not
that's
actually
so
an Eddie
sad.
Brock image. It's a later image and things like that. That kind of thing is fine if you just want to get, do a blaster in Walmart. But if you're doing it for high
You
end
shouldn't do it at
collectors,
all.
their
You
stuff.
shouldn't do it at all.
Well,
You should
yeah,
always put the. Did you hear
I'm
what
just
happened
trying
in
to be
Star
nice.
Wars? No, I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah. All right. Star
There,
Wars.
you
Let's
should
talk about
list.
this. Let's talk about
So,
this. Right.
well,
So,
well, hold on. So there was something. Two things.
go on.
Um,
You
someone
can
who's been
barely get the words
doing.
out. You're so excited.
I'm so excited. So one thing I wanted to mention earlier, James is amazing, and this
James is
is
wonderful.
nothing
Thank you,
that
James.
James is doing. Thank you. This is nothing that James is doing. It's completely different. But
Mm.
my buddy Doom Card, Jesus, who's a Doctor Doom collector, major,
Nice
building
guy.
up a really super nice guy.
Not
Building
spoken
up
to
a.
him, but I really want to. I really
You
want
should.
to hang
He's
out. Yeah.
really nice. He's actually really nice. He's a character collector, a friend of
Mm.
mine, and he's been doing something cool on his post where he's posting dooms, but all the same images through different cards.
Oh,
So
interesting.
like, like the foreign ones would actually
Yeah.
do like he's doing foreign ones and stickers and tattoos. So he hasn't done
Right.
like the UD ones that are repeating, but
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
done like the really cool images that are reused in different scalings and stuff like that. And then the other thing I wanted to say, which I'm just starting to forget now, and it's gone. There you go. Good
Oh,
stuff.
wasn't
There you
about
go.
Star Wars, was it?
Yes, it was. Thank you so much.
Okay. Because
That's the other thing.
I'm looking at the comment now.
Yeah, so our buddy Nicholas,
Nicholas.
who's just the nicest, coolest dude.
He's a
He
nice
is
guy.
basically like me and him kind of mirror each other on the Star Wars side. So he's on the Star Wars side, on the Marvel side. He's actually a big Marvel card collector too.
Mm.
But
He pulled an amazing Fantasy 15
yeah,
cut. from
Yeah, he's done. He's done. He got the Fantasy 15 cut. He got the Haley auto, and he did the
mm,
achievement thing. He's like,
didn't
he's
he get
all
the
over the place.
Omega? No, the Alpha.
Yeah,
He got
the
the
alpha.
Alpha. He was one of the first people to get
Crazy. He
that
got
achievement. Yeah,
stupid. Yeah, I guess
yeah,
stupid
yeah.
lucky. But what was interesting is on Marvel cards, on the back of Marvel cards, we should be putting where that image was gotten. So they need to hire James to get that information. And also the artist who drew the work
Yeah, credit the
should be
source.
on the back.
Always
Always,
credit the source.
always,
I've
always.
always said it. It's one of my biggest complaints about the base set of Flair 2019, and other sets, but especially Flair 2019 when it's original art. But for the cards 1 to 90, it's not on the back of the card.
How is that even possible?
I
Well, this
just
is it gets even more insane now. So Tops, Fanatics Tops just released a set called Tops Chrome or Chrome 2020, whatever, garbage. Anyway,
mm.
but the cards they're doing now are cards that have been in Star Wars Galaxy.
So
In
Star
Star
Wars
Wars Galaxy,
Galaxy is
sorry.
original art that was started coming out in the
It's one of the
90s
very
because I've
first
got,
original
yeah,
art.
I think it started 94, 95, 96, somewhere around there. And I've got the first three sets of it. And it's
Beautiful.
all original art. It's
Gorgeous.
lots of artists that you would see on Marvel cards in the 90s and
Lovely
on
overlap.
fantasy art. It's brilliant. All those artists that were pumping out that really good work for Marvel carried on pumping out really good work for Star Wars in the 90s, and Star Wars didn't see that same dip, I don't think, that Marvel cards and other areas did in the 90s. It didn't have that bust period because obviously Star Wars was coming up, and then the prequel started coming out late 90s, so things like that. Anyway, Galaxy is
Yeah.
all original art, and some of it is using the movie, and some of it is based on the imaginary or expanded universe stuff. A lot of
Yeah.
the
So
stuff
like
is
you
not
get
canon
stuff.
anymore.
Right, you get stuff from graphic novels that have
Yeah.
been in the print stuff. Cool. It's a really cool set.
Mm.
Well, and this I'm bringing this up because there's two worries here. A Galaxy is being.
They're
I was
reusing the
talking.
art from those Galaxy sets, aren't they, on new product?
So they are, and it gets worse, right? So Galaxy right now in the whole Star Wars world is Galaxy was never expensive, but a lot of idiotic influencers are using Galaxy to pump the market because it was a cheap buy-in, which was a direct quote to
Mm.
me, by the way, that it was a cheap buy-in. So they bought tons of Galaxy and then they showed it in front of everybody and made a big deal out of it. Anyway, idiotic stuff. Basically, what happened in Marvel happening over there, Star Wars, and they're using Star Wars Galaxy to do that. Now, this is the kicker. The new Star Wars Galaxy set that came out,
This is the
they
Chrome
actually
one. Yeah, Topps Chrome, whatever it is.
Tops Galaxy Chrome, Star Wars Galaxy Chrome, whatever.
Yeah.
They erased the artist's name from the front of the artwork
Yeah. Where they'd signed it.
where they signed it on the artwork. So Joe
Mm-hmm.
Smith, who did really beautiful pieces from that set, and there's even a little autograph set that they use his art on. They reused that art and they erased his name off the painting.
Yeah.
And they don't have it anywhere listed on the card. None of them have any of it listed on the card, and it was completely erased. That to me is probably the most horrendous thing you can do with a non-sport card
Mm.
ever, or any
Mm.
card or anything that features the artwork of an artist. Like that is absurd
Mm.
to the maximum level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Nicholas wrote a good thing, a good comment on there as
He
well.
did. He did. So, Nicholas, Nicholas commented, "You there?"
Yeah, sorry, my
By the
mom
way,
texted me.
sorry. Because I've got the screen up, I can't see your video. So I'll
Oh,
cut.
rude.
No, no, no. It's just that I can read that because I
Wow,
can't overlay them.
missing all of this gorgeousness. Go ahead.
Oh well, I've had my fill. I'll stack that in the back in the wank bank for later.
I'll keep
Anyway,
it. I keep that
so
right
Ooh. Anyway, so Nicholas commented, people quit for different reasons. Very true, actually. There's a lot of good stuff in here we've not yet gone
here.
to,
A lot
so
of
we'll
good
try
reasons.
and get back to that. Up
Yeah,
until
sorry.
recently, I was hesitant to continue to still collect Star Wars. That was up until Topps decided to use a deceased artist's work. I didn't realize Joe Smith had passed, and not even give credit to the artist. They also erased his signature on the image they used in the past for the newest release. In general, it's disgust towards it all. And he then posted pictures of the art. Now, Eugene came up with a very succinct way of summing it up. Spider-Man metal and market manipulators broke the hobby. which has possibly got the most likes of any comment on here. Um, Now, the interesting thing here is that our friend Brad Galley
Oh, Brad.
came in and engaged with Eugene on that, which was really good. But Brad, I love Brad. Brad.
Brad's the
You'll have
best.
seen him on the podcast before. He's a very lovely fella, very
Awesome.
enthusiastic bloke. And I'm pedaling because I'm scrolling down to his comment because he typed the most wonderful thing, which I think is worth reading because I don't want it to be all down and negative for people. And what Brad typed was absolutely beautiful. Can I find it? Can I? Yes, I can. Here it is. Brad, I'm naturally an optimistic person. I remain that way about 2023. We're going to finally get products I want. There are so many new MCU shows and movies, and I have hope to add signers I want, relics if they make them, and pray box prices don't go crazy. I spent silly money I wasn't proud to spend on EPAC in 2022, mostly on Goodwin Champions. I need to show better restraint there going forward. That's the most dangerous part for me. So I'm hopeful and determined, happy to learn hard lessons through this hobby's evolution. I, I love that. That's a really good spin on it from Brad. But the key thing there is the hobby's evolution.
Yeah, I mean it is. And I think that's part of my worry and what Eugene and Brad are talking about there, I think
Mm.
is really good. It's funny because it's not as a character collector, I'm assuming I mean, I wonder, was the Spider-Man medal for you too that kind of broke it?
Yeah, it was just too many. It was too many.
I think the metal series are too big. They're too
It is.
massive. They're too much.
It is.
20 card parallels is ridiculously stupid.
It is.
Um it
Keith
was
Speroni summed it up actually.
oh really?
He goes.
Keith is great.
So what did he say? I'm gonna just quote from him. So I'm paraphrasing you here, Keith. Apologies, but I just read it as you said that, and it sounded right. Um, I wish I'd spent that
Yes.
same money on the sets I really wanted, but I went for a phase of catch up and got to catch them all with Marvel.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's the dangerous thing, especially as a character collector, which is why I just have an issue with the number of parallels and
No, it doesn't
just
make sense. It doesn't make
different
sense. And
color
like the
cards.
idea that like, yeah, it's crap. And putting printing plates all four in one go as a random achievement on EPAC is garbage.
Yeah.
And super disrespectful. Like it's dumb. It's just a gambling
Mm.
thing. I don't think it makes any sense.
Mm.
But yeah, I agree on that. And it's funny because like the set that broke me was MM16.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, to be fair, it broke me because like Surfer's a tier 4 character,
So
and
basically, what you're
people
telling us is you've been broken for 6 years now.
I've been picking up the pieces slowly but surely. But yeah,
So when we started this,
16
it really
hurt.
was therapy for
16
you.
16 really messed me up. 16 really put things in perspective.
Mm,
Which was really hard because I loved 18. Um
18,
18 was
such a
a
nice
lot of
set.
fun.
Marvel
16,
Masterpieces
18,
2018
20,
is lovely.
they're all
Oh.
beautiful.
Mm,
But I had so much fun with 18.
hmm.
Um because there were a lot of pieces there that I felt particularly interested in collecting. Um and that was a really cool set, and I really enjoyed that and enjoyed that
Mm,
set quite a bit. But 16 broke me. But I think, and like I said earlier, it's going to be a lot of different sets for different people. Like some people with Spider-Man Metal, and I've said this before, and not to just trying to be a little more positive. A lot like Spider-Man Metal for a lot of people is what brought them into the hobby, and
yeah,
they're enjoying the
my
set,
little girl
which
loved
is really
blasters.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the blast they finally did
yeah.
blasters. So the problem is again, and my worry for the future, and speaking to the comment about evolution and stuff like that, and I wonder if this is your worry as well, is that I don't want the future of Marvel cards to not include hobbyists. And I don't want the future of Marvel cards to include hobbyists in a way where it's like, hey, you
Mm,
can have all
mm,
this garbage. Good luck. And then we'll collect all the really high end stuff. And when I say garbage, I don't mean like any card is garbage. What I mean by that is like things that are not properly cropped, things that are cut off, things that,
mm.
you know, nobody who's been collecting cards in this hobby would be interested in collecting because it just doesn't
Yeah,
vibe with us, right?
yeah.
It's not part of us as collectors, as hobbyists for this collectors. It's a very strange. I just hope there's not going to be this kind of like haves and have nots, even though it probably is already there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't want there to be a class system
Yeah, that's what
within
I'm worried about.
within
That's
within
what
the
I'm
yeah
really worried
within the
about.
hobby.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like you're looking at all these very premium sets that are coming out,
mhm,
like the ridiculousness with the Magic the Gathering 30th anniversary shit,
mm,
which I'm sure you saw. That's absurd. You know what I
mm,
mean? To
mm,
like
mm,
have cards that were never supposed to be reproduced, and it is a
mm,
have and haves nots. You know what I mean? But the problem is that
mm,
if they were reproduced and everybody can enjoy them, that was different. But that's not what happened. They were
yeah,
reproduced to only give to influencers, celebrities, and all these other yahoos to promote $1,000 4-pack purchase of something that's already been made.
yeah.
Like that is with no real major hits either. I was watching a good video on IGN from this guy who was opening a pack who seemed to be a Magic the Gathering fan, and I was really impressed with him talking about it. But he gave really good insight to like when you open a pack of these, it wasn't like you got a really cool hit. It was more like you would get things that you can still afford reasonably, and you're just
Mm,
paying $1,000 to have the experience of opening it out of a pack. Like it
yeah.
just seems like nobody with any real experience collecting anything came up with that decision,
Mm,
and that's my
mm,
worry for a lot of these corporations, is that people are working at these places or will work at these places for a limited bit of time, and they're not going to have anybody there who does this a lot or has been doing this for a while. It's
mm.
very strange. It's a very strange
It
thing
is.
that I can
It
see
is
people getting
interesting.
opinions from people who don't know what they're doing. It's very weird.
So going back to the question about people quitting, because this is interesting. A lot of people said Ron Cedar. Forgive me if I've mispronounced your name,
Oh
Ron.
yeah.
Lovely fella. I'm on pause right now. I'm mainly window shopping, but always looking. Occasionally, I will pick something only if the price is reasonable and it is to finish a set or a rainbow I've been chasing. But I'm no longer chasing anything new or grabbing things I would have previously bought a year ago just because it tickled my fancy a bit. Um, and Kevin Leddy, Kevin number two, Kevin
Letty. I love Letty.
Leddy. I didn't quit collecting. I simply refused to pay premium prices for modern comic images sets. So further
Letty's a
on,
rock star.
he gives some examples and he goes to each their own, but it ain't for me. Um, and um, Jason Montgomery is one of the fellas who moderates on the group. So Jason,
That's
hello.
right, Jason.
A few years ago, I cut down and focused my collection. I would strongly encourage everyone that is thinking about throwing in the towel or feeling overwhelmed with their respective collection to consider doing the same. That's coming, folks. That's a few episodes hence, maybe even next week. It
And
has
we
also
can
helped me.
maybe we could also list some strategies and some
Yeah,
things. Like
yeah,
fun stuff.
exactly,
We'll do a bunch of
exactly.
things. We'll do
It's
something
coming.
cool.
It's coming. It's
It's
coming.
coming.
It has really helped me to appreciate what I have and not to regret purchases. Additionally, set a budget and stick to it. So we're going to put a pin in that, Jason, because he's given some great ideas there. I'm terrible at doing those pin things. I have to really,
You do good.
I have to
Don't do
moisten
that on
up though.
camera.
I have
That's
to,
too nope, don't say that. Oh
I have to
god.
moisten up. Um,
I'll send you the t-shirt.
we've read that. I'm going to go back to someone who DM'd me. I didn't want to put this on the thread, but now if you want to sell, you get taxed at $600 instead of $20,000. So, yeah, I think this is a new thing in the US specifically, where there's a different tax threshold for stuff. Um, but he goes on to say, I make about 500K a year, so anything I sell gets taxed close to 40%. So basically, these are people who are bringing in a fair bit of income, so I imagine would have a bit of
Wow,
disposable income,
interesting.
who are still kind of, narrowing things that have got going on here. Um, that being said, there's some people who've come back and said some interesting stuff. So obviously the question is, do you intend to quit? No, what I'm saying is they've actually come back with some really interesting responses. So
Oh,
the
I thought you had
question
a
is,
joke
do
or
you
something.
intend to quit? No, no, no. David Joaquin de la Rosa, who we've had on before,
Yeah, yeah.
lovely guy. Um,
Awesome.
no, I purchased a new card just a few hours ago, made a great trade about a week or two ago, and I'm preparing a bunch to eventually send off to grade. In this past month, I've discovered a couple of really nice cards I never knew about, and I'm genuinely excited to get some time off to continue building and organizing sets I've not yet properly stored away. I'm still desiring wish list items and I'm looking forward to future sets. The manipulators, influencers, and my overall spending this past year has left a bad taste in my mouth, but it hasn't deterred me from collecting. So that's great. I love that
That was
not
beautiful.
everyone's come in with some like, oh yeah, fucking ghastly, because a lot of people have, and that's not to dismiss that perspective at all. But it was interesting that there's a few people in there.
No, there's some
There's
nice moments of levity. Like there
there
were
is,
some nice moments
and
of yeah.
there's another one here from Jordan Poon, who I kind of came interacted with on EPAC quite a few times, and then he joined the group about 6 months ago and said, "Oh, it's me. This is,"
That's
and
awesome.
Black Cat's one of his things, and I was like, "Fuck, I
Oh
love your collection." I was like, I almost ran and
wow.
hugged him on a virtual Facebook kind of vibe.
Aw,
Um, I don't intend to quit, and in fact, I probably worked on my collection more than I ever had this year. Yes, I have too, and like I said, we'll come back to that. What I've quit is buying things that I think are good deals just for the sake of it, which I made the mistake of doing early this year with FOMO. Like many of us, that manipulation period definitely burned me a bit, but luckily I got priced out of a ton of opportunities and couldn't afford
mm,
to waste money on a lot of things that I'm now grateful I didn't. Being priced out helped me focus on a specific direction for my collection that I hope to grow at a more reasonable cost next year. Buying something just because I think the price is good wasn't fun at all compared to PC Focus. Box prices increase is certainly a bummer as well, but I was never a big breaker anyway, so that will continue. Now
I love
that's
it.
interesting. A lot of people do like that experience of breaking boxes and opening a pack, and a lot of people have said, I can't afford to do that anymore, so I'm now having to pick and choose, which is great. But a lot of what Jordan's put there, this is kind of why I kind of want to use Jordan's towards the end of our chat because
Yeah.
not that I'm saying we're going to bugger off imminently, but I'm just saying I wanted to put it in this half of the episode because that's a lot of the stuff that I think we're going to go and talk on over the next couple of episodes, as we kind of talk about the
Yeah.
state of the hobby and, collector cycles and collecting cycles and things like that. Because I think after the year, everyone just a lot of people are taking stock. It's really cold. Everyone's a bit skint. Everyone's indoors. Cons aren't really happening. This is the time of the year where people just like, okay, let's have a reassess. Let's do some sorting. I can't really go out, have a heart attack if I clear
Awesome.
the drive. Let's just
Yeah.
reassess. There's a number of people who have heart attacks clearing things. I realized,
That
by the way,
scares the hell out of me, by the
no,
way.
but
That's a weird
there's a
thing.
medical reason for it because the body temperature. There was an article on the BBC News website recently because I learned everything I know. I learn off the internet clearly, but it's true apparently that in cold weather because your body's colder, the blood vessels constrict, and
Oh
so
yeah.
the heart has to work a bit harder, which is why it's really common for people to have heart attacks exerting themselves when it's cold
Huh. That's interesting.
because you're
It
pushing the
makes total
system
sense.
harder,
Yeah, you're
and your
pushing the
system
system
might
harder,
not be.
but your
Yeah,
system
yeah,
is kind of if your system's
might
already
not.
clogged
Yeah,
up or whatever the case may
yeah,
be. Yeah.
exactly.
Wow. That's so
Um,
scary.
I think it's fascinating. John T, bless him, self-confessed addict. I'll carry on collecting. We'll stick to a couple of sets per year rather than going for all of the Marvel ones. There is a
Yeah.
part of me that hopes this pays off my kids in the long run. So if that's what you want to do, absolutely fine.
I
Yeah.
don't know why you would want to like like my little one, he's not going to college. He's just not, you know what I mean? Just
Now
I'm
this
kidding.
is
I don't have kids. That's a terrible joke. I was just trying to be funny.
this is interesting. Someone's posted something I've literally only just read for the first time now. I've never read this,
Awesome.
and I didn't know it was public domain at all. For a long time, I've wanted to have Steve Charandoff, the Rittenhouse president, on the show.
Oh,
So if anyone's got to connect with him, I would love,
connect.
I would love someone hooking us up because I genuinely would love to have more than one chat with him and just talk about some of the great sets that they put out. Anyway,
Great sets.
um,
Great decisions.
Benjamin Carpenter has but he's posted two things actually. So I'm going to read them all for context because this is by no means a dig at Upper Deck or anything like that, but it's good to have the context. So his first part is for me, I'm still hopeful for Marvel to continue, especially coming from the Pokemon and sports background. The one advantage non sports cards share is the characters are worldwide and long lasting. Hence, Marvel card collectors worldwide. I can't believe the number of people who've gotten stroppy and left the group over the past week because they're putting eBay listings up that are US only and wanted to share them in group. It's like, no, it's Marvel card collectors worldwide. What part of that is not clear?
Yeah, if you're
Anyway.
not going to sell internationally, whatever.
Anyway, over half my shipments are overseas, and the characters that are popular now are the same that have been popular for 30 years and will continue on. Yes, preach, global hobby. Sports in particular, very much nobody outside the US cares for. And even in the US, each generation has a new batch of players to care about, and the legends from the past, for the most part, fade away. That said, I think it's time to break up the UD monopoly. Hopefully, Rittenhouse president meant what he said back in 15 when they dropped out. And then he quotes Steve Charendorf. Though I've never read this quote before. I didn't even know it was out there.
Interesting.
So I'd love a reference on this one. The quote goes, "This is not the first time we've had a stoppage with Marvel, and I suspect it may not be the last. We wish Marvel well in this area, but I would not be surprised if we return to it at some point." Interesting.
It'd be fantastic.
Interesting.
I
Yeah,
mean, I
Viva la
think it'd be
Difference.
really interesting. Yeah.
I would love it. I'm not saying that I want anyone to lose the license, anyone to gain it. That for me, there was a beautiful period where both Upper Deck and Rittenhouse were making sets.
That was cool.
It was great because you had different strokes for different folks.
And people didn't have to rush too,
no,
which is nice. You know what I mean? Like
no,
it wasn't like a competition. It was
yeah,
like, oh, this is from, we could have a set every
yeah,
month or so.
yeah, and they were great. Interestingly, so Davo, Mr. Davo, who's
Davo.
New Zealand, I think he is actually, not Australian.
Is he?
Yeah, I've had a live group busting boxes through the thick of COVID. Was much fun. Great new mates were found, and all was well. Then the gouging of boxes started happening, and I had some health issues and decided to back away. Oh, David, I didn't know that.
Sorry, bro.
Hopefully he's back on the mend. I'm still hunting an occasional pack opening, but it's just rails for me now, and I've moved into figures, comics, and selling the shit I already. ... I was already picking up anime ages and annual for 150 to 200 bucks. Now they're gouged. It's just taxing and boring. Plenty more cardboard and collectibles to chase and have fun without paying off someone else's car. LOL. Which
That's a good
I
one.
thought was interesting. Rory Kronk, this post needs some positivity. And he then goes into a load of stuff, but I'm going to save that for our more positive one next week. So, which is good. I mean, listen, the variations on a theme like this. I mean, one person's actually said, I've run out of physical space to collect anything more. I would like to buy more cards. However, with the price point combined with the lack of space, I pretty much stopped. I mean, if you run out of space, I mean, given the number of cards I've got around me right now, it's kind of can we just have a little pause for a moment? Let me just show you. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the size of the lithograph
Wow.
that you got from Unbound Year One?
That's a really beautiful one too.
Isn't it stunning? It's basically, I didn't expect it to be this large because the one that Fleer Ultra X-Men did in 2018
Yes.
on EPAC, that was half this size.
Yeah.
And that was the Greg Hildebrandt piece that was done into 9 cards. But this one is very much done by the Upper Deck Authentic arm of the company that do the prints and the promos and things like that. So
they definitely need more of these.
So nice. So it is very much because it's got the same kind of authentication thing that you get from those prints when you buy from the Upper Deck Gallery. So it's definitely come from that.
Yeah.
Collection.
You also get that same kind of thing with redemptions and things like that too.
Look at it. It's beautiful. I love it. I really love it. I'm not going to be able to hang it anywhere because quite frankly, it's too big. But one person did comment, and I'm not going to run through it now, but one person did say that they pretty much quit because Unbound for them broke them. There was that week when Spider-Man dropped on Unbound. And
what a mess.
I have to say that week was possibly one of the worst moments of 2022 for a lot of collectors. It was certainly one of the most eye-opening moments for me in terms of the number of people who were very much, matey, get along, yeah, help you out, all of a sudden turn into immediate gouge monsters on Unbound.
Major.
Several people left the hobby as a result of it.
because it
Quite a
was
few
people.
people
People
left
were
the
getting people
group as
over
a
a barrel.
result of it. Yeah,
It was
because they were
gross.
disgusted with people's behaviour because
Yeah,
everyone was treading. It was like a not to. Uh, no, I don't want to use that analogy because I don't want to be disrespectful to people who died in crushes and things like that happened from time to time. But it was very much people stepping on other people to get to what they want,
it was
and
gross.
just make a few
It
quid.
was it
And
was
it was
really gross. Like
just like,
I'm
nah.
worried. I'm worried about future card sets that happening to it, and I'm proactively working towards having doing other strategies, which I will tell you about later. But like, I am definitely worried about people buying out sets and people just basically like buying as much product as possible to keep other people out. Like it's, and I know we've seen it already,
Oh, it's just happened with Homecoming.
but I think it's going to get worse.
Mm,
I'm really worried about it
mm.
getting like really bad.
Yeah, one of the major market manipulators has just bought loads of Homecoming off ComC, try and corner the market in those coloured parallels, and it's just like
So dumb.
it's just like go
I say
away.
right now we have a movement and just go back to the old cards and just hang out with those for a while. Like I honestly
I
like
just
whatever,
thought
man.
when I
I
read that,
feel
I was like, what? And their representative in the group even posted at one point and said, "Oh, did anyone else notice that all those homecoming cards that were bought off ComC yesterday? Does anyone else think that this is going to be?" And I was like,
wait, who
and
said that?
the person operating on behalf of
Who's the
Alpha,
person operating on behalf of the
Kevin Rose, who's not even their real name.
Who's Kevin? Oh, that idiot.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
trying to why is
Is the
this
person
thing
in
in
the
the
group?
group?
Yeah. Anyway,
Why?
they took the post down very shortly after they posted it because I
I
was the
wonder
first one to
why.
comment. I was the first one to comment, and I took my nice English gloves off and just got a bit dirty, and I said, "Oh, having another I can't remember what I posted now. Anyway, I'll send you the screenshot later."
Please do.
Um, so basically, interestingly,
Garbage.
virtually none of the people that I perceived as quitting actually responded, apart from one, which is Stephen Bagley, who's just kind of, I won't read his quote, but he's
Yeah, what
kind of,
happened to
he's,
Bagley?
yeah,
Is
well,
Bagley? I
well,
haven't spoken to Bagley in
yeah, no, he's,
forever.
he's still around. Well, listen, I'll read his quote. I mean, we even had Stephen indirectly on the podcast, in that he
Yeah, a
sent
long
in a
time ago.
voicemail. But I still want to have him on. But you couldn't, literally, it was like red flasher Bagley at one point. Do you remember? He was getting so
Yeah,
lucky on all
Bagley
the
was
red
in it.
flashes, and he was posting them
Bagley was
every
deep in the
5 minutes.
game. Yeah.
So he was one of the people I did tag. Interesting, none of the others commented, which means that they might not be around. It's only
They
yesterday;
might
they
not
might
be
not been on
around. Yeah.
Facebook. I love the cards in the sets. That hasn't changed, and I still get signatures and/or get my cards graded and such because Stephen works for Beckett and is an authenticator at shows.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But with the economy the way it is, and with the insane prices of boxes, I just can't buy like I used to anymore. I'm getting maybe like 5 to 10% of what I used to at best, and that's, you know, Stephen was a baller, but he wasn't a whale.
No, he wasn't
Um,
well.
I've switched to getting more sports cards than Marvel cards lately, primarily hockey and baseball. Cool. I mean, collect what you love. But overall, there's just too much other stuff that my money has to go to right now. These prices are just too high to be able to do much anymore. But my love for the cards, the art and the artist has not waned. I just can't really afford to dive into new card sets anymore. So that's interesting. He still loves the hobby. He just can't afford to
He
play.
really did
And
like
he's
his
kind of moved
cards.
on.
Like,
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. He loves them. He
yeah,
loves them.
he really liked a lot of it. Actually,
Mm,
he was a huge fan of
mm.
18, from what I remember.
Yeah,
Right?
I was in. There was a little chat group that I had with. We called it Marvel Annual Heads,
That's right.
simply because
That's what
it's
you
the
told me.
first thing that came off my head to write, and there were a few of us in there actually. Another fine young fellow, Jonathan Delgado, who did actually comment. And Jonathan Delgado is one of the sweetest, loveliest guys in the hobby. Absolutely,
Super nice.
hands down.
Great guy.
Really fair,
Cool
wonderful
cat.
collector,
Really nice.
just a nice human being, basically.
Yeah.
And everyone we've quoted from here is a nice
We're
human being.
lucky,
Jonathan,
man. We have a lot of nice
Jonathan did
people in our
comment.
community.
Yeah, an awfully lot of nice people. Where
Yeah.
is Jonathan comment? He commented
I
on here,
saw
and
it too. It's
yeah,
there.
it's there. I'm trying to
I
find
read
it, and
it.
we'll probably
I think I
wrap
liked it.
with his in a moment. because I had a
Facebook's
couple of
the
things I wanted
worst,
to say.
man. Those
Where is it?
comments just
It's in
vanish.
here, but no, but this
Such
is
a
the thing.
mess.
This is why this post was such a like lightning rod for me.
It was crazy.
It
I
felt
forget how
like
many
Jerry
comments are on
Maguire
there.
when they did the memo. When he did the memo, it felt
Yeah.
like that. Um, anyway, Jonathan has commented after the local comic shop where I was getting products announced they'd be closing soon. I pretty much decided I was done buying. The
Right.
LCS was the only place I could still get packs at regional price and availability. I simply cannot afford to set build anything, even at EPAX prices. So I guess I'm done. I'm still trying to grab a sketch here and there for my collection, but even that I've been selling off. Yeah, he's been selling some sketches recently, a bunch of, and is nowhere near as big as it was. Pretty sad because when I jumped back in 2018, I was super excited to re-engage a childhood hobby, but now it looks to be flickering out pretty quickly.
That breaks my heart.
That does break my heart. I mean, Jonathan, flame's always on from my point of view. For you, he's one of those people I will quite happily lay down. You know, they'd have that old thing where someone lays down their coat over the puddle so that the queen doesn't get her feet wet when she walks over
Yes.
it. He's
Yes,
one
yes,
of
yes.
those guys. I will quite happily lay my coat
He's
over the
always been
puddle.
nice.
Um,
Always been nice.
so yeah, interesting. Um, the good thing is there's an awful lot of positivity in what people have commented, and
Yeah.
that's what we're going to take into the next few episodes, folks. So we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that people have brought up about how they are staying engaged with the hobby, how they're evolving as collectors. It goes back to those phases that I jotted down before any of this came on the Facebook post and we had all that wonderful feedback. Interestingly, it does actually fit with that kind of cycle of collecting. And,
Mm-hmm.
not everyone's at the same point in their collections. Some people are at different phases. Some people don't think any of this applies to them because, out of all the people that commented here, there's another 4,000 people in the group. So, some people are having the life of Riley out there, and it's not. So that's interesting. I wanted to say something. What did I want to say? Can I show you some more cool shit?
Please.
I'm going to show you some cards. Let's wrap up with showing
With
some
some
cards.
cards.
While I'm getting these ready, I just wanted to have a look. This is just something personal that I wanted to say.
Please.
And I'm not going to mention any names here, but there are a couple of people. There's a lot of people actually who've sent me friend requests on Facebook over the months and years. I don't generally accept friend requests from everyone because I take that literally, that that word friend,
Yeah.
and B, I've got to keep a little bit of something for myself. And when I do share stuff on Facebook that's not on the groups and not hobby, because a lot of my social media is hobby based these days, it's of my family and of my kids. And if I genuinely don't know you and we don't engage that much within the hobby, I might know you're there and I might see you're active and it's cool. But it doesn't mean to say that we've got, that we have to be
A rapport.
connected. There's one person in particular who has very recently taken to gently ribbing me, and I think he's being quite fun, but he's also quite an obsessive guy in terms of his collecting. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I'm sorry, buddy, but you keep asking, but I'm not at this time, unless I feel that I know you better, going to click that button. But what galls me, which is why I'm bringing it up, is the fact that you keep asking, which for me is a little bit like, uh, don't keep asking.
Block his ass. Why are
Well,
you
I'm not going to
listening?
block it.
Why?
I'm not going to block it. I'm not going
Why?
to
He's
block his ass
bothering
because
you. Why would he?
he's
Why is
bothering
he
me.
bothering
I
you?
also just bought something off him on Facebook because he's a fellow character collector and he's bought up something and he's splitting it and selling it to different character collectors. I'm generally not someone who blocks someone unless they really wrong me, and he hasn't really wronged me. I don't have any disrespect for him. But what I do want to say is, you know, I I share, I talk an
Yeah,
awful
I
lot on
don't
this
know who you're
podcast
talking
about.
about.
No,
So
no,
yeah,
I'll tell you off air
yeah.
because I
No,
wouldn't
you
do
don't
that
have
to
to.
him.
You don't have to.
I wouldn't do that to him. But if I am not accepting a friend request, I genuinely, might not know you. You can send me a message on Messenger because I know how to use Facebook Messenger. You don't need to send me a friend request for me to see that message and be able to engage with it.
Yeah,
But I've
that's
had
true.
people who've come into the group and almost immediately send me a friend request, but I've literally never heard of them. I've like, who is this person? I've posted in the
You're
character
like
club
Tom
chat.
on MySpace, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But no, it's just, and listen, for some people, it's not, it's different, and I think it could be a cultural thing as well. I think in America, it's a lot more it's a lot different. People will friend request each other all the time, and
But you
maybe
have your
some
real
people
name on there
do
too.
differently.
It's a
Yeah,
little different.
and
You know what I mean?
I don't
Like,
have a pseudonym. I don't have a pseudonym, and I've got
no, you don't have
photos
an
of I've
alias.
got photos of my
You don't
kid.
have
I post
four
about work on
aliases.
there. It's just yeah. There's a line and there's a limit, and this is why I've got several Instagram accounts, and on my personal one, I genuinely don't tend to follow hobby stuff that much unless I'm actually friends with the people. And when I say consider myself friends with you, it's like when I will have had a chat with you on stuff, or you might have come on the board, or something like that. But there's no set definition as to what I consider to be a friend. But if I
It's
feel
up to
close
you,
enough
man.
to
Who
accept it,
cares?
yeah, exactly. Um, it just bothered me, so I wanted to say it. It's no personal diss on you, but just respect the fact that I might not want to, and just stop asking, because that feels sad to me.
Listen,
Just feels a bit pitiful.
I I feel kind of
Oh,
embarrassed you
sorry,
had to do it.
I didn't want to say
No, no,
that,
no,
but
no, no,
that's
no.
how it makes me feel.
No, I feel I'm a little embarrassed because you could have told me off air, but I'll stop. I'll stop asking you
Oh,
to be
mate,
my friend. And
no.
that's it. That's cool. That's fine. I can accept that.
We did have a really good comment on our the end of year review episode, and I wanted to touch on it. From We had some really good comments on it, actually, some really nice comments.
I had some people reach out to me.
Yeah, it
Really
goes by
nice
the handle of
things.
Mike Blue. So I'd say, hi, Mike. Thank you for commenting. Like and subscribe. My favorite Pokemon YouTube card, YouTube.
You
Should I
got
start
this.
that again? Let's start that again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a long week today. My favorite Pokemon card YouTube channel has done a recap of the major sets year by year, and it's helped my appreciation of each set and how we have gotten here. Would it be possible to do that with Marvel cards? I know it's a big ask, but it would be amazing if you guys could. Um, I want to talk to that because yes, I always want to do set retrospectives, as I've started to call them, because I just like the play on words with it, and it makes me go. Ooh.
Nice.
Um, and we kind of tried to do it a few times. Or we recently did one with Marvel Flair 2019, like a round table, just looking back, even though it's only a 3-year-old set. And boy, is it good, because I've just had most of my
It's
Flair
a
arrive
good set though.
in this
It's a good
Compsy
set.
delivery, and it's so gorgeous.
It's a gorgeous
Um,
set.
Cards I've never had, like stained glass. I've just got some stained glass ones. They're
Sick.
thick acetate ones, and they're beautiful. Don't even get me started on how nice the matter and antimatter and singularity are. Anyway, so Mike,
Gorgeous.
so
Gorgeous
basically,
cards.
yes, and we do try and do it. We try and couple it with when we're talking to people. So, for example, when we interviewed Joe Jusco recently, we were talking to him about Masterpieces 92, obviously in 2016, and just trying to get a bit of that whole history of the set. We did it when we talked to Greg Hildebrandt about his work on Masterpieces 94. Um, the reason we don't do it on a week by week basis is because we like to talk about kind of current things that are going on in the hobby, things that might be of use to people, and also because there is at least one other podcast that was doing that. We did a crossover with them, Collectors Assemble,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
and they were doing that. I don't think they were doing it on YouTube. I think it was just audio, but they were actually going through and they'd spend 2 or 3 episodes talking about Marvel Universe 92 or Marvel
Yeah, that's right.
Masterpieces or Marvel, whatever it may be. I don't know if they're still going, but their stuff should still be out there. Anyway, we will do that. We probably won't do it as a very regular thing, but now we've got the video stuff a bit more streamlined, and especially once I get the garage connected to a studio and I have a better webcam and the light and that sort of stuff, and maybe a card cam, we can
Ooh,
start doing that a bit more. I'd love to
yeah.
do, to get my binder open and just look through some stuff. But yes, but Mike, yes, absolutely would love to. Thank you for that. And we had a number of people who reach out and just say happy holidays. Who did we have? Benjamin. I don't know who that is. Appreciate the insights and information I've
No,
gained from
man.
this amazing podcast. Have the merriest of Christmas, gents. Um, Marvel Card Investor, that's your friend.
My buddy.
Shane,
Shane's the best.
Sarasota, is that him? Sarasota?
Sarasota
Yep,
Comics and
yep.
Cards at one point, yeah. Well,
Such,
Sarasota Comics, which is why he changed his name.
yeah,
Sorry.
such a great podcast. I appreciate all you guys do for the hobby. And he's gone on to leave us a really, really lovely review on Apple Podcasts. So
He's a
thank
great
you for
guy.
that.
I like him a lot.
Charles Fuchs, great end of the year show, guys. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. Marvelous Packs, that's Victor. He
Sick.
sent a really nice message. So
Oh, that's
brilliant.
nice.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Um, and I'm going to show some cards. These all arrived today, literally today.
Really?
And some aren't Marvel for those easily triggered. In fact,
How
most of
dare
them aren't
you?
Marvel.
How dare you? You don't
These are,
allow it in the group. You
I
can't
know,
allow it here.
I know. Well, no, we often go on tangents, you know what it's like. Anyway,
True.
besides our podcast, you can fuck off. Right.
Yes. Yes. One of my
um,
favorite Ian moments right
mhm,
here, right
mhm,
now. That
mhm.
was good. Mhm.
Yeah, 2023 is going to be frisky pants.
I
I got
love
I got
it.
my first Inkworks X Files
Oh,
Pieceworks card. So that's a costume card.
that's a good
And
freaking design.
and being
With the
Inkworks, yeah,
redacted,
yeah,
that's the redacted
being
lines, right?
Inkworks is proper worn. So these trousers were on
Screen
Mitch
worn.
Pileggi's legs. I mean, they could have been on his inside leg for all I know.
Probably.
And I just randomly saw it, with the cheap start price, and I just put in a late bid and won it, which I got. And this is from Inkworks, did quite a few seasons. I think this is from season 9.
I
How
actually
many,
have a question for
how many
you.
years did that show go on for?
That show went on for a while.
A little bit longer than it should have. Anyway, yes. What's your question, dear?
I got a question, Star Trek question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching Voyager. I'm in season 5.
Okay,
Oh,
sorry. I just want to show you these. So
I
these
love
are
it.
Star Trek Insurrection.
Insurrection.
And these are the
Look
widescreen
how
ones.
much space there is for
Oh
those
no, look
autos.
at it.
Damn, those are sick.
Greg Henry. I've got a lot of time for Greg Henry. He was in that Mel Gibson movie Payback, which I
Oh wow.
love. I love
I
that
haven't
film.
seen Payback in
I love
forever.
that film. It's so
That was
good.
good.
It's
That
got
was a
so
good
much
film. That
swagger.
was
But look
fun.
at the space
Yeah,
he's got for that auto.
that's sick.
Look at
Both
the
of the
space he's
autos
got.
are amazing. Look how
And
much
this
space is on
guy,
that.
John Hostetter, who I'm not familiar with as an actor, but he was under all that blue makeup. But
Wow, that's
aren't they
cool.
beautiful?
They're
These
nice.
insurrection and
I like the wide auto cars. They're actually really cool.
insurrection and the
There's
one
nothing, I
after
don't
it,
have one here,
Nemesis,
but
are these are like this. Anyway, Star
Nemesis, that's
Trek
right.
Voyager season 5. Go hit me, Daddy.
So it's a card question.
Go.
I think I'm realizing that my favorite Star Trek character is Chakotay.
Okay, yeah, I can go with that.
I have a very big space in my heart for Chakotay now.
Hmm.
Um and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I looked up his cards and I want to know if you knew that there was a Chakotay card that had like the costume relic and his signature.
And
Because for because
um,
I'm looked it up and I've only seen 3 autograph cards from Chakotay.
I don't know is the honest
Commander
answer.
Chakotay.
However, I know who would, and it's either Joshua Estes or Joshua Carp, one of the two. But he's a big
Oh,
collector. I get those two fellas sometimes because they've got the same first name, and they're often in the same group. Um, which one is it? One of them. They're in the pop culture card trading group anyway. But one of the guys there really knows his Trek. It's one of those two guys. Anyway, you post in there. I
I'm going to.
guarantee someone will know, and they'll have a picture of it
I'm
as
gonna
well if
ask
it
because
exists.
I
Yeah,
like.
definitely.
I have. I love the Deep Space Nine. I love Drax. Not Drax. Oh my God, what's her? Why am I
I
saying her
know who
name?
you're going to say.
I can't remember her name now. The
Jadzia
tattoos. Jazzy
Dax.
Dax. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I always forget like how to say her name, but I remember. But I have hers, which I really like.
Mhm.
But I was hoping that there was one for Chakotay as well, but I don't think there is. So I'll ask the group and make sure. I wasn't sure if you had done big on Voyager or
Speaking of
not.
signed relic, no, I didn't go Voyager at all.
I like the
Speaking of
relic,
signed
man.
relics, look at that. That's Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Galactic Garb, Nebula, and it's signed by Karen Gillan. Obviously, it's sticker auto or label auto, whatever they call them.
Who cares? They look beautiful.
But yeah, it's a thick card. I tell you what, some of these
See,
Guardians and Black Panther ones are so thick. Honestly, I'm
they're
going to
big.
have a serious rethink about storage on them because I'm like,
No, they're big.
they're
They're
taking
big.
up
They're
so
big
much
ones.
space. Um. Anyway, what else we got? We have another Lord of the Rings film cell.
Oh,
There you go. So that's from one of the Hobbit movies, I believe. Yeah, yeah, third Hobbit movie,
damn, that looks cool.
which is nice. Some ugly mug there. We have, now this is random, Tomb Raider the movie on card Chris Barry auto. And for those of you into Red Dwarf, that's a major actor to get. I met him at the local.
Wow.
There's a local con, and it's a very small con that happens in Norwich every
Hmm.
year. I haven't been able to go for a few years because, well, they cancelled from COVID, but it's always the same weekend as my wife's birthday. So I'm like, go to the con or divorce. Oh, I'll stay home. Um, but but yeah, no, he's a lovely fella. Um, really nice guy. Anyway, I got this
That's
because
so cool.
because the Tomb Raider movies were, let's face it, they were fucking terrible. But
They weren't great.
they had a pretty decent cast. They were very of their time, and
Yeah.
the autograph cards are beautiful.
I always
They're
see
really
those Tomb
nice.
Raider cards, and I'm
Yeah, the
always
Inkworks ones.
really,
I can't
they're really
say,
nice.
and I got that for like $5. And lastly, I will wrap it up with a Marvel card this week. X-Men movie, James Marston,
Ah,
Cyclops costume. It's my first
those are
tops move
nice.
from any of the X-Men movies,
Those
and
are
it's
really nice,
really
man.
nice swatch.
Is it
It's
leather? Is
leather.
it like a
Yeah, it's
leather
leather.
thing?
It's beautiful. Look at
Whoa.
that.
That's
Isn't that
cool.
nice? It's really nice.
I think it's
Um,
awesome. The photos don't do those cards justice.
No,
They're
they
so
really
pretty.
don't. They really don't. And my webcam doesn't do any of this justice, quite frankly. So there we go. That's my, and aside from my ComC Miracle, I'm not going to go through these now, but I'm going to show for people on camera my stack.
Ian,
This
do you
is
have
my
an
black
iPhone?
cat.
Oh
This is
my God, look at that.
my black cat stash from the ComC delivery.
Woo.
In this handful, there are probably over maybe about 20 printing plates and lots of other good things, including, hang on a minute, where is it?
That
Where is
many
it?
printing plates? Holy hell.
Yeah, that many printing plates. Oh, whoopsie daisy.
Jealous.
Hang on a minute, we're about to get all
Take your time.
alpha up in here.
Oh wow, I forgot
Green
you had that.
PMG, green PMG, green
That's
PMG.
pretty.
Thank you. Those of you who wanted it, who wouldn't pay how much I wanted for it, it's now home. So you've missed your shot.
It's now home.
Well, loads of people drop in ridiculous money on Spider-Man Metal Universe. When a card that's genuinely worth that money comes up for sale, it's like, oh, no, don't want to pay that much. But my rainbow web foil,
True.
rainbow web
Oh,
foil.
rainbow red, dude. Okay, that's a
This,
oh,
this
that's a
is,
hard card to get.
yeah. This almost broke me.
That was a tough card to get.
Look at that.
Wow. And that's the
That's the rainbow.
web
That
foil.
is the rainbow web foil. It just doesn't.
Hey, Ian, remind me,
Difficult.
is that the do you have the original art for that card?
I do. Thank you for asking, Norrin. So there will be
Thank you
a
for
once
asking, Norman.
once once I've actually sorted things out a bit more
Oh,
and got things organised, there will be some more show and tell and flex
that's so
content
funny.
coming down the pipe. But yeah, I've got the silver web foil here. I've got the yeah, loads. Anyway, I've just got so much stuff. So I got buybacks. I got I've got plates. I've got plates. I've got plates. I mean, I've got plates,
So jealous.
plates,
They just
plates,
didn't make that many plates for Surfer.
plates. I now have to
Wow.
set a
Terry
four.
Dotson.
I have to set a four from that one. So I've just not
Did you really?
reunited.
You got all
Yeah,
four?
I've got three
Wow.
here. I've got the other ones in the other room. So I haven't reunited them yet.
Wow.
Haven't merged it into the collection. The one I'm really excited about, if it's in this particular pile, it's not, is the plate from. So I said I wasn't going to show all these, but you've got me going
I
now.
love it. I'm
Yeah, you got
sorry.
my tail wagging.
That's my fault.
I got holograms. I got Alpha hologram here from annual 1920. Where is it? Where is this printing plate? It's gone. There it is.
Hey, best friend. Oh wow, I forgot you had that.
Mm-hmm. That's three of the four I have.
Man, the blue looks really good.
Yeah, this is the cyan. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
was so close to getting the prowlers. Like I even had the purple prowler at one point because he's one
Sorry.
of my Yeah,
You
purple
can't
prowler.
say you can't say purple prowler
I can say purple prowler.
and expect me not to crack up laughing. You and
Purple
your purple
prowler.
prowler. That's going to be
Trying to
your
think of another tongue twister.
and that Al Milgram sketch card that Daniel Rubin kindly helped me get. So that will
Especially
be
for who
staying in
that
my
artist is
79. That will be
and
staying
how
in my
beautifully
79.
clean that is.
Hmm.
That is beautiful. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing the 48.
I've got sketch
I
cards
am doing
here.
the 48. I'm doing the
I
48 like you said.
forgot I purchased. So yeah, so Road to 79 will be coming.
Road to
We'll do an episode
79.
about
That's a
that.
good one.
I've yet to do it. I've also got a really good, which I'm going to do on my Black Cat Instagram, Mr. Felicia Hardy. I have a delivery here from Joe Driscoll.
You're covering Joe's name.
I'm trying to cover his address actually,
There you
but
go.
there we go.
You're covering
Yeah.
his name. Yeah. Joe.
This will be getting opened live on my Instagram at some point when I have 5 minutes to do it.
Hit me up when you do that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
so
I
excited to
absolutely will.
see that you
I
have
absolutely
that.
will. I know what's in here. You will too. Um, thank you, everybody. Sorry, we've again. It's another gorgeously long episode, so appreciate that you guys might have to do these in several sittings, but we just get chatting, and it goes as long as it goes. So, if you don't like long form content, then other podcast content is available. If you do, stick around. Um, as always, I'm going to say this again because people forget we don't really do the Twitter much anymore, although we are still on there, so you can always find us on there. But I just don't post much content because it's just too much. But anyway,
It's garbage.
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook at the MCC Pod. Please like and subscribe on the YouTube if you can. Really helps us out. Please like and follow our page on Facebook. Leave us reviews wherever you want to if you dig what we're doing. And yeah, until next time, when another State of the Hobby episode will be coming down the pipe.
What, did you want me to say something?
Be
I'm sorry.
good.
You're right.
Be
I got
good.
it. No, I
mean,
got it.
you know.
No, I got this. I got
Yeah.
this. Got this.
Yeah, you got this. Cool.
Happy collecting, everybody.
Triggered.
Trigger.
Triggered. Trigger warning.
That was fun.
Having